Let's talk about these portal quarterbacks in the Big Ten, or teams that could use a portal quarterback in the Big Ten, and possibly what's going on there. List of teams I have here. Reminder: Indiana. I already put out a video for that one by itself. So if you're looking for Indiana stuff, go check out that video. But for everybody else, the teams I have here, Zach, are Penn State, Michigan State, Northwestern, Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska, Oregon, maybe. With Dante Moore possibly moving on, sounds like that's going to happen. Rutgers, and then Wisconsin. Is there any team that I missed?
I don't think so. I think that's pretty.
I mean, Illinois does, but we've not
Yeah.
really heard anything from Illinois. They brought in that FCS transfer quarterback, but I think he's probably going to switch positions to like a tight end or something like that. So we don't really have anything with Illinois yet. We'll see. But I think that's everybody else. And who knows? Iowa might not even go get a quarterback. They might stick with
No.
Hank Brown or trade in Bessinger, the true freshman coming in. We might get
Mhm.
a true freshman quarterback at Iowa. What do you think?
Yeah, it's funny. That is maybe this is going to sound odd, maybe the most intriguing quarterback situation in the Big Ten.
I would
Be-
agree.
because he is a really good prospect. Bessinger, I think, was what he was ranked in the 150s overall. He's
Yeah,
like so high
he's one
four-star
that pretty
guy.
much every service is kind of saying is like the sleeper of the class. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so like high four-star guy, not your typical Iowa quarterback commit. Now, here would be my ideal. Let him sit a year and get a bridge quarterback. That would be my like. It's too bad Gronowski can't be there for another year because that would have been perfect. Like to have
Mhm.
Gronowski for one more year and then have Bessinger come in for the start because I do think Bessinger, he is certainly the future. There is a lot to like about him, but we've kind of seen it with other quarterback situations, just kind of throwing him out to the wolves. If anybody could get away with it, Iowa could because their system is predicated on running the football and defense and special teams. So like if anyone could get away with starting a true freshman, it would be Iowa. So like I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if Bessinger starts. I just wonder if it'd be helpful for his development to not have to start right away.
Yeah, I mean, I think with him being young and after seeing what happened to Dylan Raiola and what happened to Bryce Underwood, not that it was terrible with Bryce Underwood or anything like that. He had some really good moments this season, but I think it's become evident that starting a true freshman in the Big Ten is not a great idea. And I think Kirk
Yeah.
Ferentz recognizes that. The name that's getting floated around out there right now for Iowa is Marcus Stokes. He's also getting floated around for Northwestern and Wisconsin as well. Marcus Stokes was actually a pretty highly rated quarterback out of Florida. Got himself into some issues when he was committed to Florida, and so he actually had to go down a level to West Florida. I
Mm.
won't expand on everything, but apparently he used a racial slur on a video online, and that you know was not good. So I don't know if I was going to take him or anything like that. That sounds like that was like 3 or 4 years ago. So who knows? Maybe I don't know. I don't want to expand on it, but anyway, that that is the reason why. Even though he's a talented quarterback, he went down to the FCS level and has played very well there. So he could
Hmm.
possibly come up to the Big Ten. He could possibly go up to the ACC, something like that, and play well. We'll see. I don't know, but that's kind of the story with him. Any thoughts on Marcus Stokes?
Yeah, I mean, he ranks as the ninth quarterback currently in the transfer rankings, according to 247. So, like, decent prospect. Penn State was knocking on his door. Indiana was knocking on his door pre Signetti.
Yeah.
Important caveat. But, like, Penn State, Florida. So, like, he had D1 offers and he's playing well. That tends to be kind of the secret sauce when you see quarterbacks that translate as transfers and quarterbacks that don't is, are they like, do they actually have D1 ability that people could see? And are you succeeding at the lower level? And that's true in both avenues. So I think he'll do well. I wonder if actually he might do even better than some of those programs. Not to say better is the wrong word, but more pass happy teams than those three. Because I mean, let's be honest, Iowa, Northwestern, Wisconsin, they're all about throwing it and air raid and trying to put up 500 yards passing a game. I mean, that's Iowa, Northwestern, and Wisconsin in 2025, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, Wisconsin went to the air raid, so.
And it was a bang up job. Ooh.
Listen, Max knows us here. He says, who I've never heard use a racial slur? The Big Ten Huddle. That's
Amen.
Right. We are not being demoted to the FCS. We are talking Big Ten. Because we don't use racial slurs here. Oops, I just spit a little bit on my computer. Sorry.
We do spit on our computers.
Apparently, that's what we do. We do use slurs against lemon cookies. But no, I'm just kidding. That's the past episode. All right, Zach, another one. Let's see. Where else do you want to go? Rutgers, Wisconsin, Oregon, Michigan State, Penn State.
I just want to,
and like I said, we're not doing Illinois. We're not doing Illinois. Illinois does need a portal quarterback. We just don't. We don't know what direction they're going right now. So that's the only reason why we're not talking Illinois. Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to bring up this comment. 500 yards is a good season here at Iowa. Thank you, Doc P. Iowa. That's fantastic.
I will reiterate Jeffrey's point to you, which is that the record for most touchdown passes in a game at Iowa is bigger than the record for the most touchdown passes in a game at Ohio State.
We're moving on. I can't deal with this. I can't
deal with
this.
Iowa here. Listen,
shenanigans.
Everybody thinks it's illegal for Iowa to go out and get a quarterback. I'm here to say, Iowa, go get you a quarterback. All right. Penn State, Rocco Becht. Sounds like Rocco Becht is most likely going to go to is going to go to Penn State. That's kind of the word, the chatter right now. He's most likely going to enter the portal. It sounds like with him with Penn State having Matt Campbell and his offensive coordinator, it sounds like that's where he wants to go. We'll see. I mean, there's not been anything leaked about portal or anything like that. Still 2 weeks away from when the portal actually gets here, but I think this is fantastic news for Penn State if they can get him there. We don't know what will happen to Ethan Grunkmeier. If Rocco Becht does go there, the consensus seems to be that Grunkmeier will transfer. I would advise against that if I was Grunkmeier, talking to Grunkmeier, but who knows? What are your thoughts on Rocco Becht going to Penn State?
Love it. Matt Campbell continues to win off the field in what is was maybe the worst situation, and he keeps turning it around. And Rocco Becht, he's a great bridge to Grunkmeier. He's a leader. He's an underrated QB. If depending on how he did this year, he probably could have gone to the NFL draft and been maybe an early day 3 pick, if not a day 2 pick. And now he's going to go improve his draft stock, be with people he knows, probably transfer with other guys there to the Penn State team. He's a legit P4 quarterback. And I think we'll do better than I think he will be better than what we were promised Drew Aller. With Drew Aller. I love it. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I don't know if he's as talented as Drew Aller, but I definitely think he's going to have more confidence in the offense, and I think Matt Campbell and those guys are going to allow him to open it up more. So I love it. If they can make it happen, we'll see for sure later on, but if they make it happen, if Ethan Grunkmeier wants to move on, so be it, but I think that's a guy that's probably MAC bound or something like that if he does move on. And I feel like learning the Penn State system, the offense for a year and then starting is probably his best bet, but I don't know. Who knows, what the conversations there have been like. So Michigan State, they could stick with Alessio Milavijovic. I practiced his name earlier. I think I got it right. They could stick with Alessio Or, you know who's in the portal, Zach? Caden Houser. Can we also talk about how Michigan State has had that one year where they had quarterbacks? They had quarterbacks all over the place. They had Caden Houser, who's been awesome at ECU. They had Sam Levitt, who was in the playoffs and almost beat Texas, right? They had them both sitting on the bench. Mel Tucker's final year there. Eventually they put him in, but man, they had good quarterbacks there at Michigan State, and then they squandered them away. Any thoughts on Michigan State? You think they stick with Alessio, or you think they go out and get a guy? I mean, you know, Pat Fitzgerald's son is at Iowa right now.
Mm-hmm.
Could go get him. Ryan Fitzgerald. What do you think?
So it's hard because you need to fill out depth. If Sam Levitt's available and he wants to come back to Michigan State, like you get him. Like that's a no-brainer. I don't think he's
going back to Michigan State, but yeah.
I don't either. But I'm just saying, like, there's a few quarterbacks you mentioned was like, okay, go get him. But he's not going to Michigan State. He's going somewhere else. Aside from that, like, Caden Houser had a fine year at ECU. When Alessio came in for Aiden Childs, there was an immediate leap in play. And while they didn't win a lot of those games, he was competent. He played well. Believe it or not, he had a higher QBR than Caden Houser. So I don't know if I pull the trigger on Caden Houser if I've just seen a quarterback play in Big Ten competition and do kind of good. So he wasn't perfect. I had it up. Where does you comment on what I'm saying for a minute, and then I want to look up some stats here.
Yeah, I mean, Alessio did do a better job of reading the field and stuff like that. It's just, what was Michigan State because of all their offensive line issues, right? I mean, he was sacked 7 times against Minnesota, 5 times against Penn State, twice against Iowa. So I guess you see improvement there. And then no times against Maryland. But by the end of the season, Maryland was kind of a shell of themselves. So, I mean, and he threw the ball a lot there at Michigan State. He threw the ball 40 times against Iowa. So now that was actually a close game, but Michigan State just can't help but kick it to the best punt returner, which, by the way, did we ever talk about that? Caden Weegan didn't win first team All-American kick returner, punt returner. Like, how stupid is that?
It's pretty dumb. It's pretty dumb.
We don't need to spend a lot of time.
Did you see it's brand bias, but Weegan doesn't win the award for best all-purpose player. But Bo Jackson was a all-purpose All-American for freshman All-American. And it's like, dude wasn't on special teams at all.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I think they just use that all-purpose as like a flex spot.
Yeah, apparently. Because Bo Jackson was never a kick returner. Yeah. What are we doing?
It's crazy.
Oh, my goodness.
Anyway, sorry to derail the show. Any final thoughts on Michigan State?
Well, you brought up the sacks. So he was sacked 7 times against Minnesota, but it was at Minnesota in an overtime game. He was 20 of 28 for 311 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. At Iowa, he's 25 of 42 for 255 yards. Not great yards per attempt, but it was very close to 60% completion percentage against Iowa. Two touchdowns to 1 pick. And they should have won that game. He got the win against Maryland. I know Maryland's a shell of themselves, but he went on the road to Minnesota and Iowa, which are games that we did not expect Michigan State to win, and took 1 to overtime and 1 they lost by 3 points. This is the same team that got blown out by UCLA 38-13. They were not good. And this team clearly had a spark when they put him in. So I just don't know if you mess with that. Now, maybe it is a coaching change, so maybe Pat Fitzgerald says, I've got a plan, and my plan's better, and I trust Pat Fitzgerald. But if I'm Pat Fitzgerald, I'm looking at what Alessio did in his limited time, and I'm like, I kind of like what I got here.
Yeah, if I'm Pat Fitzgerald, my focus is just get the offensive line right. Yeah. Get Alessio some weapons.
Yeah.
And let him
get him some depth. Get him a backup. But
Yeah. Or go out and get your son. Either one. I'm
yeah,
fine either way. So,
yeah.
what do you think about Oregon? Oregon, Dante Moore likely off to the NFL. Sounds like Oregon has been in communication with Sam Levitt. That's been reported. At least the agents out there are talking. Dylan Raiola obviously likes the idea of Oregon. DJ Lagway maybe. I mean, they did a really good job taking an SEC quarterback who didn't perform super well at his SEC school and turn him into
Yeah.
a record setting quarterback in college football. So maybe they do that. Um, any thoughts on those three or anybody else
I,
Oregon should go
I,
after?
I think Levitt and Lagway make a lot of sense. I mean, you still have Novosad, and at least he's still there. Like he's still planning on being there.
Yeah, I thought they would stick with Novosad at first, maybe, but then we've heard so much smoke about all the portal stuff that I'm just like, I don't think it's gonna happen. I wonder if
Okay.
Novosad was, really really well liked by like Will Stein or something. I almost wonder if
Mm,
Novosad transfers to Kentucky or something like that.
yeah, I mean that may be true, but yeah, I think Levitt and Lagway might make the most sense. I have a lot of questions about Raiola because of his lack of pocket awareness.
Yeah, I think if they brought Raiola there, he would sit for a year like Dante Moore.
Yeah,
But I don't think he's willing to do that. I think he'd want to start right away.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I think Raiola's. My guess is I think the idea of Raiola to Oregon is appealing to Dylan Raiola. I don't think it's actually a good fit for him.
feels like Oregon's gonna get Sam Levitt, or at least try very
Yeah,
hard to get Sam Levitt.
yeah.
That would be
Well, and
my
if you're Sam Levitt,
assumption.
why would you not? Why would you not go to Oregon?
Yeah, I mean the only reason you wouldn't is if like Miami comes in and they, show Cam Ward to you and you get really enticed by that and the money.
Hmm.
I mean
They
LSU, Lane
they should
Kiffin, really good
they should
offensive
show him
mind.
Tennessee Titans highlights afterwards,
There you go.
or the lack thereof.
Yeah, that's like Oregon should show him that.
Yeah, be like, yeah, did Miami actually
Yeah.
prepare
Now
him for
watch
the
Bo Nix. Here
NFL?
you go.
Yeah. Um, so this you don't have this on the sheet, but I'm just gonna throw this out there. I don't know how serious this is. It's Twitter, so who knows what's it's everything's made up and the points don't matter. But someone did have a cryptic tweet about Lagway to Indiana.
I think Indiana's getting used a little bit in the portal right now
Oh, mm,
to kind of put their name out there a little bit more. I'm not saying Indiana's not looking for a portal quarterback. I still think that could happen. Like I said, I made a video on it with three guys, so if you want to go look that up, feel free. I do think that it's possible they go to the portal, but I also think it's possible they stick with Alberto Mendoza. Um, but I don't know. Lagway just doesn't seem to fit it for me. Seems like they want
yeah.
more of a kind of down to earth kind of guy. I mean, that's how Rourke was.
Wait,
That's how Fernando Mendoza. And I'm not saying that DJ Lagway isn't. I'm not saying that he's not. I've just not seen that from him. Right?
are you accusing an SEC quarterback who's been gassed up by the media isn't down to earth?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And TCU, Josh Hoover, Sheck is talking about it here. He's been linked to Indiana as well. I,
Yeah.
I think there's been too many quarterbacks linked to Indiana for me to believe they're in on all of them, but there's also been too
Yeah.
many for me to believe that Alberto Mendoza is going to be the starter next year.
Can,
Doesn't mean
can
that
we
I don't
also
think Alberto Mendoza's not like doesn't mean I don't think he's good, that I don't think he could
yeah.
be the starter. I think at a certain point you get all these links and you're like, okay, Indiana's out there looking.
I just want to point out you said something a minute ago, which I don't know if we ever would have thought we'd hear, which is people are using Indiana to boost their profile.
It's the Kirkston Eddy effect, man.
It's awesome.
Yes.
It's awesome.
It is very cool.
I can't wait for Indiana to blow out an SEC mid-team. I cannot wait for it. It's going to be fantastic.
SW Indiana does say that Sig always used a dual threat quarterback. He had him at JMU. Rourke and Mendoza had been a new thing. Yeah, Rourke wasn't really mobile, but I think that was more because of the ACL than anything else. Mendoza, he has mobility, but it's not in his like Like that's not why people thought he was amazing, right? So,
Mhm.
we'll see. But yeah, I think guys like Brendan Sorsby, Sam Levitt, those are guys that fit Indiana the best. Drew Mestamaker, I guess maybe could. Um, but I'm wondering. I think he might be Oklahoma State bound, but we'll see. Portal's still 2 weeks away, so we'll see how it goes.
D- does he value his career?
Well,
Why on
that's where his head coach went.
does he value his career?
He played really well at North Texas this year.
It's Oklahoma State.
It's the
What
Big
are we
12.
doing?
It's the Big 12.
Anyway,
Oklahoma State was what they were because Gundy decided to pull like a Dabo on steroids. Only he wasn't getting good recruiting classes. He's like, hey, I'm gonna do what Dabo does, but I'm gonna have not good players coming into my program. It's like, Gundy, what are you doing? So, I don't know. I still think Oklahoma
It's
State
fair.
can be something. Under the
I
right
hope you're
coach.
right. Actually, I like Oklahoma State, but
Yeah.
they are the poor man's OSU. So
Yeah. Rutgers. I don't think they're going to go portaling. I talked to Mike Broadbent over there at the Knights Report today, and he seems very, very high on A.J. Surace, the backup quarterback there. Played really well coming in for Ethan Kaliak-Manis against Norfolk State. Watched the spring game a little bit, and he played well in that. And he runs the RPO pretty well, too. And I know that's a big thing for Kirk Ferentz and those guys there, being able to run the RPO. So I think AJ Surace is going to be the guy there. You agree,
Yep.
or do you think that they move on and go to the portal?
No, I think you at least give him a year. I mean, you've got really good weapons around him still, and I think they lose Ian Strong, but Duff is going to be back. I think DT Sheffield's back. Um, I forget who's moving on and who isn't, but he's a New Jersey guy. He was the number 4 quarterback in New Jersey in the class of 2024. He's a redshirt freshman. Like, so he's got a lot of football left. If you can keep him and develop him, which has been Greg Schiano's mantra, like, I think it makes sense to put your chips in on him and see what happens. Like, at worst, maybe he's Ethan Kaliak-Manis, which wasn't bad.
Mike
Like,
thinks
the
he could be
offense
better
was
than Ethan.
right. I think the floor is Ethan.
Yeah.
And if the floor is Ethan, like, the offense was not the problem for Rutgers this year. If their defense from a year ago was on this team, they'd probably win 7 or 8 games. But like, they didn't have that defense.
Yeah.
So I think it's Surace or Surace?
Surace.
Surace. Surace. I think Surace is. I think you got to give him at least a year to see what you got, because what you've seen so far has been good.
Yeah, I agree. Final two. Do you want to touch on Nebraska a little bit more? We kind of talked about them. It's either Lateef stays or they go after a mobile quarterback, but I don't think it's going to be a high level one. I mean, they could go after somebody high level, but I think Nebraska's probably going to stick with somebody mobile. Lincoln Keenholz makes a lot of sense to Nebraska.
Yeah,
if he
leaves. I think Lateef is there unless if Keenholz goes into the portal and then goes to Nebraska. Because I think Keenholz fits what they want to do.
Yeah.
And honestly, he fits what they want to do better than Raiola ever did.
It's just going to be hard because Keenholz isn't going to get in the portal until so late.
Yeah.
I mean, unless Ohio State loses. That's possible, don't get me wrong. But and then Wisconsin, Billy Edwards is expected to move on. He's expected to get his medical red shirt, move on, go someplace else. Sounds like they want Carter Smith to stay and continue to develop for a year because they do not want to put the pressure of save Luke Fickell on a first-year starter in Carter Smith. Sounds like they're going after guys like Colton Joseph and Kenny Minchie the most. Colton Joseph, that's the ODU guy. I think some Indiana fans are even saying they wouldn't mind having Colton Joseph, which I wouldn't either. He's a good quarterback and he did well against Indiana. Kenny Minchie, the backup there at Notre Dame, highly touted, should have a good career. But overall, Wisconsin, they just need to win a quarterback out of the portal that other Power 4 teams are vying for. They can't go out and get somebody that like nobody else wants or anything like that. I
Yeah.
talked to Rajiv from the Bucky Report. He said he's high on Jaden Craig too, the Harvard transfer quarterback. Would be similar to a Mark Gronowski situation, not so much in player, but in kind of accolades and stuff like that in the FCS and how he performed and stuff like that. He's not had the career that Mark Gronowski's had, but thoughts on Wisconsin, Zach?
I think though I think Mark Gronowski's a good model because what they've done with the transfer portal thus far is they've gotten someone who's been like somewhat successful in lower tier FBS, but like hasn't really like made it work. And it's typically someone who's like halfway decent, like, but not like spectacular. So like Billy Edwards is a great, really good example. Like, oh, like he did some nice things at Maryland. He also didn't do some nice things at Maryland, but like he was okay. Whereas I think Iowa really nailed it in that they got a guy who was excellent at the FCS level. It was the same thing with Indiana when they got Rourke. He was excellent at Ohio. Like MAC player, I think it was MAC player of the year. Go and get somebody who has been a stud in the lower level, who has shown that they can compete and be the cream of the crop. Get that person. And then don't expect them to do too much, but like know that they're going to know the offense, that they're going to learn how to play in that system and how to be effective in it. And so I like the Jaden Craig idea. I really do. And then you are preparing Carter Smith for what should be his job in 2027.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be a good move if they can get one of those four. Obviously, I'm really in favor of a Colton Joseph if they can get it. I like Colton Joseph a lot.
I think so too.
But I think they're going after quarterbacks right now that a lot of people are vying for, and other schools have a better track record of. So they're going to have to overpay if they go after somebody.
Yeah.
So.
I just want to clarify a statement. Billy Tuesday. Well done. Gronowski, excellent at Iowa, ? For Iowa, he was excellent. Not saying he was excellent. For Iowa, he was excellent.
Yeah, I mean, he progressed throughout the season, right? The biggest issue with Gronowski is he wasn't ready at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
He progressed throughout the year. He actually got better as a thrower. I know not a lot of people watched Iowa after the Oregon game, but he actually got better as a thrower as the year went on. And I mean, there's a reason why they beat Nebraska 40-16.
He was, excellent against Nebraska.
Yeah.
Which I know people will say, well, it's just Nebraska, but
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was to say, to me, it's just unfortunate that he wasn't that good all season long, because I think they could have been a 9-3, 10-2 team if he was that good all season long.
Yeah.
So
if he was there the year before and was able to get used to the system, I firmly believe Iowa's a playoff team if Gronowski was in year 2 this year, like this past year, instead of year 1.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, SW brings it up, says Gronowski would have beat IU if he didn't get hurt in the 4th. I mean, they probably do. So, yeah.